This is our topology. We have branch A, branch B, we have switch 1, switch 2, PCA, PCB. On the routers, I've chosen 4321. So those are the routers that we're going to use to demonstrate virtual private network and IP security concepts. After that, to be specific, we have several types of IP security. The one that I'm going to demonstrate is a site-to-site VPN. So that's the one that I'm going to teach today, the site-to-site VPN. So under the routers, I've chosen 4321, under the switches 2960, and then the PCs. Networks, I have the 10.0 network, I have the 30.0 network, I have the 10.110/30 network, 10.22.0/30. That's the one for the connection between the ISP and branch B. I'll also introduce a loopback. I'll also introduce a loopback. For me to introduce a loopback, I'll use this one. I'll just draw here like a small diagram to just represent a loopback. So this is a device on the internet. So this is a device on the internet. So I'll say loopback 0, and then under loopback 0, I'll say the IP address is 209.165.200.225/27. So that's the one that I'm going to use. So immediately I'll jump into assigning IP addresses. So this is branch A. Under branch A, the first command is enable config terminal int. We have a gig 001, which is connected to the local area network, this on the LAN. So I'll say IP address 192.168.10.1. I've highlighted the IP addresses that are going to be used. So these are the IP addresses that are going to be used. This is supposed to be dot. Yep. Yes. So here on the router is a .1, on the PC .3, .1, .3. So those are the addresses that we're going to use. 255.255.255.0. And then no shut. Remember, all interfaces are usually under shutdown. And then I'll go to int gig 0000. So the 000 is the one that is connecting to the ISP. So you have this branch has the one local area network and then one exit interface. So it's a stub network. So I'll say IP add 10.1.1.255.255.255.252 because it's a /30, and then I'll say no shutdown, and then I'll say end, and then I'll save my work. Remember, WR is the short form for write, and then this is branch. This data for branch A, just copy and then repaste it down there. So now we will say branch what? Branch boy. We have the same interfaces. So here is gig 01, which is 30.1, and then we have here, this one is 2.2, 2.2, yes. So the gig interface connecting branch 2, branch B to the ISP is gig 00, and that's the IP addresses for gig 00. So those are the connections that we have. I repeat the repaste, but this time this information is for the ISP. ISP. So under ISP, you have gig 001 and gig 00. Gig 001, this is the data that you're going to change. This is the data that you're going to use. So be careful. So under ISP of gig 01, gig 01 is using 2.2. So everything here is 2.2. And then this is 100.100.2. This gig 00 is on the side of branch A, and then gig 001 is on the branch of B, branch B. So I'll copy this data because I want to uniformly, I can say cut, want to uniformly place them. So we have yes, branch A, ISP, and then branch B. So that's the topology that we have here, and that's what you're going to be using. So to be able to continue, I need to paste the data into the routing. So I'll open R1 and then command line interface. You need to be under the user executive mode for you to paste from enable. But if your paste here, you're under hash, you can copy from config. So I'll copy from enable, ham, copy, and then paste. So the reason why I normally do this is because I want to have a documentation of what I've done. So I can scroll up to confirm that there is no error on my configuration as usual. It's okay. I'll then copy the one for ISP. I'll copy again the one for ISP. So I'll go to ISP router, write the instructions. So these are the instructions, paste. And then I'll now move to the other router, which is branch B, and then do the same. So now branch B's data is down there. So make sure you've already changed the correct information, you've placed the correct information on the devices. Now you'll be able to see everything is okay, no errors. So now I can check using my cursor. I can place my cursor on top of the router without clicking, and then I'll be able to see gig 00 having an IP address of 10.1.1.1, and then the link is up, and then gig 001 of 192.168.10.1/24. Yes, that's correct. That's the information that you need. Same with ISP. ISP now everything is built to side of 000 gig. You'll be able to see 11.2, and then 001 gig. You'll be able to see 222 at the end. So that's the correct information that we require. So now I can assign IP addresses to the PCs. Remember, these PCs are on different networks: 192.168.10.3. Control A, control copy, tab, control V, that is one. I go to PCB, and then I do the same. Now under PCB, here is dirty. Here we're playing with that under dirty. So I'll send you this video. You can use this video. You can pause it whenever you feel the speed is too high. So you can do that. So I've already placed IP addresses under these equipment, and then I'll enlarge my packet tracer. I'll enlarge my packet tracer so that I'm able to see all the data. And then after enlarging the packet tracer, what I'll do next is I'll try to ping. Yeah, you can pick this add sample PDU. You can use this PDU to ping, or you can actually go to the command line interface and be able to do the same. So this is way easier for you to test between the directly connected networks and my devices within the same network. So I'm pinging devices within the same network. So R1 and ISP are on the same network. So they're supposed to definitely ping. So I can do that. Yes, on your far right, you'll be able to see. So I can press delete so that I can repeat that process. Pick the PDU, click on PCA. I'm not dragging anything. I just my hands are free. So I'll go to R1. So PCA can be able to ping its branch router, and then the branch router can be able to ping the ISP router, and then branch B, is it able to ping ISP? You can redo it. You can redo it because sometimes it takes a while. R1, yes, they can be able to communicate. And then once the connection is established, it will be able to remember all communication. And then PCB and R branch boy are able to communicate. So I've just checked the directly connected equipment. Can they be able to communicate? So that's the first thing we normally do. Or devices with the same local area network are being able to do that to communicate. Yes. But in reality, traffic cannot move from PCB to ISP or PCA to ISP in the current state. Why? So there's something else we have not added. Under the ISP, we have a loopback. So you can say int LO0 IP add 192.169.165.200.225, and then we say 255.255.255.224. So That's the information that you need. So what I need to do, I'll copy that. I can just type it on ISP router. Yes, but remember, I need it under config terminal. So that's how you do it. You paste it under the after config. So now you say under ISP into brackets config under the global configuration mode. Now you can paste your commands and you can type interface loopback 0. It's a virtual interface that represents a certain connection. In this scenario, we needed a loopback up there. So yes, PCA or PCB won't be able to ping ISP. Why? When PCA tries to ping ISP router, the destination is not within the local area network, so the traffic will be taken to its default gateway. By the default gateway information that we have is 10.1 and 10.1 is our branch A. So branch A will check in its routing table. Branch A will check under its routing table. To see the routing table, we normally say show IP route. We normally say show IP route. Under the routing table, R1 knows about the directly connected networks. Networks under gig 000 and gig 001. So those are the two interfaces it knows about. And this is the information that you're going to get here. So if you're sending data to this network, it will push that traffic to that interface. If you're sending data to this IP address, then it will push it to that interface again. The same with these other two. So that's the information that you have under the routing table. So right now, PCA is pinging R2. R2 is under network 10.1.1.0. So the traffic will be pushed to gig 0.0.0. Gig 0.0 will take the traffic to ISP. ISP router needs to acknowledge so that the ping can be successful. And the process of acknowledging, the router will check on its routing table, does it know about this destination, so that it can forward a response back to PCA. PCA is on a network 192.168.10. So show IP route is on a network 192. So if you check the routing table of our ISP, it doesn't know about that network. So it doesn't know about any 192s, whether it's .168.30 or 168.10, doesn't know about any of them. So PCA for right now, it can't be able to communicate with the ISP, or PCB cannot be able to communicate with the ISP. You can check on your lab, confirm everything is working as per the intent. So to configure what's a virtual private network, basically on this environment, on the topology that you have drawn, you can demonstrate, you can introduce a small demonstration to basically highlight this one. The green part shows the internet. The green part shows the internet and the equipment on the internet. So you can say this is internet. The green part is the internet. And then this is one of the branches. We have one of the branches. So maybe this is a company. So this is company Jose's company. So we can highlight my company, my branch, one of the branches of my company. I can highlight them. So this is one of the branches. So this branch A. So and then we have another separate company, the same company but different branch. Same company but different branch. So I can use select a different color. I can use a different color. Yes, that will be okay. So I can say this is now the other branch. This is the other branch. And then these two institutions, PCA and PCB, they need to do voice communication. They need to exchange. They need to exchange data, but The problem is the traffic must pass through the internet. The traffic must pass through the internet because maybe branch A is using a certain ISP. Maybe they're using their own special ISPs, like here in Kenya, we can say they're using ISP like Liquid Telecom, and then the other ones on the other branch A, they're using a different ISP like Safaricom. So you can say these days are using SAF as their ISP, internet service provider, and then this side they're using Liquid Telecom. So these are some of the service providers we have here locally. Um, so this side they're using this to connect to the internet. This side they're using this to connect to the internet. Remember, in general, all ISPs normally meet. So we create an environment whereby we're saying like your branch and the other branch directly or indirectly we normally connect. But now, if PCB was to communicate to the internet, there are processes of NATing that must take place. So the PC's private IP address should be converted to a public IP address. If you saw my NAT class, you can be able to do NATing. So this private IP address should be converted to a public IP address so that you can ping a device like Bloomberg Zero that is on the internet. The same with the other branch. But this time, this institution wants to create a virtual link from branch A to branch B, from Nairobi to Cairo, for example. So they can't really afford to lay a cable from Nairobi to Cairo. But what they can do is, if these two branches can be able to purchase internet services, then it means they can create a virtual link over the internet from branch A to branch B. You can create a virtual link from branch A to branch B. So that's what we want to demonstrate. Creating a virtual link on top of the public network that we have. If they're able to create a virtual link between here and here, they can configure their link the way they want. It's like they have laid an actual cable from Nairobi to Cairo. But in real life, ISPs have already done that for us. They have already done that workload. So what you're going to do is just creating a virtual link on top of their cable without requesting them for the services. If you request them like a claim relay, then there's other charges that you're going to incur. But in this environment whereby you create a virtual link, you don't really need to consult anybody. So you just know which commands or which configurations to do on device A and device B on the other side. So this is what we call now a site to site VPN. This is what we want to configure. But before we configure site to site VPN, we must ensure branch A has internet connectivity, branch B has internet connectivity. What I basically mean is I can put here, I can now separate the first instructions were for basic configuration. So the second instruction that I'm going to write here will be for now internet connection. So once we check my once you check my classes for static routing, you're supposed to remember we had a branch what? We had branch A, and the branch A, what you need to do is enable config terminal and then you say IP route. If you're going to any, if you're going to an unknown destination of an unknown subnet mask, take that traffic to room 10.1 1.1.2. In this environment where our branch A is connected to the ISP via this cable connection, we normally say if you're going to any unknown destination of an unknown subject matter. Locally here, YouTube is not known. Locally is not known. It's not a network that is directly connected to you. So YouTube is not known, Google is not known, Facebook is not known, any destination is not known. So what we basically do is that we say if somebody is going to maybe Facebook.com, we tell that traffic to the ISP, and the ISP is connected to Facebook indirectly or directly, either to with the other ISPs of whom they share information with. So I'll just send my traffic to the ISP. So this command is very important. Next stop. So next stop is usually the ISP. So that's what you're going to do, and then I'll end, and then I'll write. Write is to save. So you can use write, or you can say copy running configuration space startup configuration. But write is way shorter. So there's a short form of typing write. And then I'll go to branch. I'll go to branch boy. Under branch boy, I'll do the same enable config terminal. Under config terminal, I'll do the same command. So I can say now this one will be two triple twos, yes, because we're now on branch B. Branch B is connecting to the ISP internet service providers. They might be different or the same, so but they're connecting using different IP addresses. So on this side, you're under the network of 10.2.2.0/30. So this side is the one, and then the other side of the ISP is the 2. So we shall point it to the ISP. So this now we have introduced the internet concept. The ISP will do the other configuration to allow us to connect. So these IP addresses are derived from the ISP. So that's that. Do that. So I'll move to my router, which is branch A. I'll start with branch A. And the branch A, enable config terminal, and then I say IP route for the zeros, and then 10.1.1.2, enter, and then it's an end, and then a write, and then show IP route, and let's say show IP route. Immediately I type show IP route. There's some information that I need you to be able to see. This one, S with an asterisk, new information saying gateway of last resort. Is what done what? Is 10.1.1.2 to network 0.0.0. So anybody going to an unknown destination, not known on this address table, not address table, routing table, will basically send that traffic to that IP address. And then that IP address will be responsible in dealing that issue. We also now move to the other, we also move now to the other router, that is a branch boy. And then I'll say IP route if you're going to an unknown destination of an unknown subnet mask to the traffic route 10.2.2.2, and then I'll end, and then I'll write is to save, and then I'll say show IP route. And the show IP route, you'll be able to see S with an asterisk, but this time going to the other IP address from the other side of the ISP. There might be two ISPs or one ISP. All in all is okay. So that's the only thing that you need before you start doing VPN. You need to have internet connection for both sites. And already right now, we have already assigned internet services to both sides. After that, the next step is to create a virtual link. So now we want to create a virtual link. You can use a certain color. I want to use maybe red. I think red will be okay. It's okay. So we want to introduce a virtual link. Um, it's not visible. Yes, I've deleted it. You can create a virtual link. Virtual link. Yeah, yes, virtual link. Yes, so we call that on our virtual link. Will be better next time. So you want to create a virtual link between R1, branch A and branch B. But remember, it's a pipe between branch A and branch B over the internet. So that's the first step, creating a virtual link between the two routers. To be able to create a virtual link, so this is what you're going to do. So I'll now again create a partition. So this is my form of documentation. This is my form of documentation. Good to have documentation. So I'll say now we're creating a virtual interface, or you can just say a virtual what? Virtual sorry, virtual link. Yes, to be able to create these virtual links, not even links, link. We shall move to the branch router. So we are first of all starting with branch what? Branch A. In the branch A, I'll go to enable config terminal, and then I want you to be in the global configuration mobile area. And then you say interface channel. You have several numbers you can use, but I'll say interface channel what? Channel 0. Yeah. Interface channel 0. This virtual link on point A and point B must have IP addresses. So on this side, we can give it as we can decide on the network. So the network for the virtual link, the network for the virtual link, so you can say the network for the virtual link, you can use anything 172.16 the 0 slash 12 slash 16, you can use slash 16 repeatedly. And this connected, yeah. So on branch A will be dot one, on branch B will be dot IP add the 2 172.16.0.1 255.255.0.0, and then no shot. Virtual link will come up, no issue, and then we say channel source. Yes, channel source. So this is what I'm saying. So you open branch A, and then you say config 2, and then you say interface channel 0. That's the first thing we do. You will see the interface will drop because the virtual interface IP add 172.16.0.1 space 255.255.255.0.0. Remember 2255s and 2 zeros on the subject mask, and then no short, not relevant. It won't be any issue. Advantages channel. You can start with mode. Yes, instead of starting with source, you can start with mode. Let's say mode GREIP. So GRE stands for generic route encapsulation. So generic route encapsulation is the protocol that will create the channel from point A to point B. So normally the protocol is called generic route encapsulation. That's the first thing. So you'll be able to say GREIP. After that, you can say channel source. Yes, the space question mark if you want to see more option under the channel source. So remember, documentation very important. And then say gigabits, Ethernet, Ethernet. So in our scenario, the source is what? The source is gig triple zero. The source is gig triple zero. So make sure you remember that. The exit interface under this router. So that's the source. So say gigabit 0 triple 0. So that's the one that we're going to use. It's a gigabit triple 0. Yeah, that's the source. And then you say channel destination 10.1.2.2.1. Destination is usually the IP address, the public IP address of the destination of the other branch. On our side, we are the source. Destination is the other branch. On the source, we put the physical interface. On the destination, we put the IP address of the destination router device that you're using on the other side. So that will be under branch A. So that's how we create the virtual interface. So the virtual interface, channel 0, We have given the virtual interface an IP address. Remember, it's like we are laying a cable from our router to the branch router in Cairo. Remember, from Nairobi to what? Nairobi to Cairo. Once you have laid our cable, so in reality here we are just creating a virtual link on the internet. And then once you have laid a cable, now we can give it an IP address. The cable must have an IP address and identity on this side and on the other side. On this side, we have given it the one. On the other side, we have given it. We have decided to give it the two. After that, I can say end, and then I'll write. I'll say end. I'll say end, and then I'll write. Remember, continuous save is very important. So I'll copy this information because this little change because of the topology that I'm using. So here it will be PC boy and then channel 0 dot what? Dot 2 and then GRE IP. Now the source interface is what? Still gig 000, but the destination is not that. The destination is the IP address of the public IP address on the internet of the destination. So this is the public IP address 10.1.1.1. Yes, and the next one. So that will go to branch what? That will go to branch B. And branch B, I'll paste. We are creating a virtual interface called channel 0. And then the IP address of the channel 0, we have stated now we are adding the 2. No short is not important. Channel mode GRE IP, channel source gigabit Ethernet 000, and then channel destination 10.1.1.1. So our source will be the interface on our side, the public interface. Destination will be the public IP address of the destination. So that's what we normally do. So remember to always do that. Remember to always do that. So I've already saved my work. I'm assuming the tunnel is working. Remember, we couldn't ping from PC boy to ISP, but we created an internet connection to the ISP and internet connection to the ISP. So now we need to check if our virtual interface is working. We can start from PC boy. From PC boy, we can ping the virtual interface on 72.16.0.1. So you're pinging the virtual interface on the other side so that you see what we able to create a link over the internet between our branches. Yes, it is successful. So if it's not, check the video, go back and check what you might have done wrongly or you fixed. So yes, so from this side you can be able to ping on the other side. Then I'll open branch A. On the branch A, I'll do the same ping 172.16.0.2. Remember, branch B is .2, branch A is .what? Is .1. So now you have created a scenario whereby we have a branch in Nairobi, a branch in Cairo, and we have laid a cable from Nairobi to Cairo. Can an individual in Nairobi, using their private IP address, be able to ping an individual in Cairo? Now, that one becomes tricky. Yes, we have a cable between Nairobi and Cairo, but the router in Nairobi just know the link of it, so the virtual link and the local area network link. The router in Cairo knows the local area network link and the virtual link, but both routers do not know about the local area networks of the neighbors. So R1 branch A doesn't know the local area network of branch B, and branch B doesn't know about the local area network of branch A. So we need to exchange that information. We can use static routing or we can use dynamic what? We can use dynamic routing. Any routing will be okay. Any routing will be okay. We have several types of dynamic routing, but for the purpose of this class, we can use RIP or OSPF, any routing protocol. For now, we are going to use OSPF as the routing protocol so that our branch A can exchange information with branch B. Branch A can teach branch B about the local area network it has directly, and then branch B will teach branch A about the local area network that it has. Yes. To do that, I'll again partition. I'll partition again. This is my documentation technique. So to this extent, I was certain everything is working perfectly. So even if I was to do some changes, I won't touch on information above that. OSPF configuration. In my OSPF, how many devices do I have? I have only two routers. I don't, we have two types of OSPF. We have multi-area and single area. I don't actually need to do any multi-area OSPF. I can just do a single area OSPF, which will be good enough because we only have two routers. So even it's all possible to do. Remember, we are not counting the ISP router. Why? Because we created a pipe on top of it. So our pipe doesn't really say which how many equipments are inside the pipe. It's just a link from branch A to branch B. So OSPF configuration, and to be specific, it's single area OSPF configuration because it's a small topology that requires only single area OSPF. So we're going to do single area branch. So that will be branch A, single area OSPF. And then I'll say enable config. I need you guys to be under the global configuration, but that's why I constantly say enable and then config terminal. I'm a configure terminal. From there, now I can say router OSPF one. Remember, one is a process ID. You can use any number that you want. They can be different on the two routers. Yes, and then you say router hyphen ID back to SPF 1.1.1.1 router ID. You can manually assign a router ID. If you do not manually assign a router ID, the router will pick the highest, most active loopback IPv4 address. If there is no loopback on that router, it will pick the highest, most active interface IPv4 address. It's good to write a router ID. In OSPF, a router ID is significant. That's what I can say. A router ID is significant. So make sure you create your router ID. After router ID, network. So you can write the entire statement network, or you can use the short form, which is net. We have 192.168.10.10.0. You can use the specific device, or you can say the entire network. For me, I'll permit the entire network. 0.0.0.255. Remember, this is a wildcard bit, and then you say area 0. If you're doing a single area SPF, everybody must be on the same area, and that area is usually area 0. Not usual, it's mandatory that you use area 0. Everybody together, area 0, yes. So it's the backbone area. We call it the backbone area. So after that, I can say now network. The other network, we can't say the public network. It's no longer there. It's there in reality, but for our VPN, it's not there. So network um, 172.16.0.0 and then 0.0.0.255, not 255, sorry about that, 255.255, area what? Area 0, area what? Area 0. After area 0, you can say passive interface. I can say now big, you need to say passive interface, yeah, big, because 0.0.1. Remember, passive interface prevents the OSPF routing information from being sent to this interface because there's no router connecting via that interface. If there is, it's not being used for OSPF in our topology currently. So we normally block this information that you have here from being sent to that interface. We want it to be sent to PCB and then PCB to send it to PC, not PCB, to our branch B and then branch B to send it on to branch what? To branch A. So that's what we want to do. And then after that, I don't think there's any tangible relevance to add any other information. So what you can do, you can copy this because even branch B has lookalike information. So I'll say and then right. So let's say and then right. Then after that, I paste, and then this one becomes PC boy. After PC boy, this one I can, the route ID must be different on different routers. And then here we have that. Yes. Process ID can change. Process ID can change. You can write two, maybe for R2, you can write leave it at one. Yeah, so you can choose different process IDs, but data is important. And then yeah, this one you can block it. It's okay. Yeah, so that's the topology. That's now what you're going to do under the routing protocol, so that now you can fully utilize that virtual link that you have created. So we actually do it on the routers. Actually do it on the routers. So I'll open R1 or branch A, and then paste data intended for branch A. So no errors. Always confirm you haven't gotten any errors. Everything went as intended. And then I'll open branch B. I'll open branch B. Then copy data intended for branch B. Right. And then right. Then shift up arrow. This to get ready to run. Now confirm. So update data. Yes, yes, yes. Immediately OSPF gives you a pop-up once you configure side A, now you're configuring side B. Mostly this command, once you get to the 16, that's when you're going to see. For that command, you're going to see a pop-up. Always, why? It's the network connecting branch A and branch B. So now it will tell you OSPF process 2 neighbor 1.1.1.1. Remember the neighbor, we are seeing the neighbor via the router ID and then channel 0. So it's telling us we launched via the virtual interface from loading to what? To full. Remember we have several steps for OSPF. So back to OSPF. So yeah, that's the idea now. Now I think, so if you go to R1 and then you say show IP route, if you go to branch A, sorry, show IP route, you will see an extra network land via O. Which network? 30. 30 is the local area network for branch B. So it has been land via open short path fast OSPF. So that's how now we create a VPN, allowing the private devices to be able to communicate, show IP routes. Now you'll be able to see another O. This time, these neighbors only have one local area network. So when you're exchanging, you'll be able to see those local area networks. Here you can be able to see 10.0/24. Yes, and the administrative distance of OSPF is 110. That's the information that you need to see. Very important, very important. Now, this private IP address can be able to ping the private IP address of PC, and you're good to go. So I can open PCA command prompt, and then I ping 192.168.30.3. I can ping the 30.3. So that's how we do VPN. Creating a virtual link between branch A and branch B. Remember this VPN, the one that you've done is just the channel. You're going to use the internet security option. The internet protocol security option, the IPsec. So IPsec now enables it to be way secure. So this is just the channel that you have created so that you can have a site-to-site VPN, and this is the correct data. We have the best data that you can use to demonstrate that. Yeah. I'll just save my work. Um, I'll just say what? I'll just say VPN. I'll say call it what? Site to site VPN. This one is brought to you by USA Vishia site to site VPN. And save that. I'll also save my work on the other side, and then you can call it a day.